Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Captain of My Shed. I'm Captain Mikey, and obviously we're not in the shed today. We're in our sort of front room slash playroom slash TV room thing. The kids spend a lot of time in here jumping up and down on the sofa they're not supposed to jump up and down on. In this episode we're going to build some under sofa storage. You can see there's about, I think it's 11 centimeters. Gap here and under this one too, so we should be able to get a nice shallow drawer in there. It'll be great for storing things like board games, puzzles and books. And I've managed to dig out from my I might use that one day drawer. I've got 8 of these sort of linear casters. They should work well, and I've spent hours and hours coming up with this fully exhaustive set of plans. And I've also remortgaged the house and bought some plywood, quite a small amount of plywood as well. So even though Mummy's little tin soldier is feeling a little bit precious today, I'm going to crack on and start on this build, and I think it should be a good one. Enjoy. Okay, we'll start by breaking down this full-size sheet of 18mm plywood, which is going to make up the bulk of the drawer box. I'm using my track saw here, my Bosch track saw, and for a small workshop this is a great little tool. It enables you to use these full-size sheets and break them down really quickly without too much setup. I really like it. In the workshop now and onto the mitre station, just setting the stop there so I can repeat these cuts, and just cutting that material into the right length for the sides and the front and back of the drawer box. And you can see there the way it feathers and splinters up. That's partly to do with the fact that it's not an expensive plywood and it delaminates quite easily at the edges there. Next, I'm just cutting down this strip of beech. It's an offcut from the workbench project, and I'm turning it into a rail for these casters to sit on. And once the casters are fixed, that rail will be attached to the side of the drawer box. So I've clamped up a piece of material in the vise, the same thickness as the base of the drawer. And this way I can line up the casters so that I've got just enough clearance underneath the base. And I'm just doing that by eye. And it just gives me a good reference to position these wheels in relation to the base of the drawer. Then it's glued and pinned in place on the side, the pins just acting as clamps so I can keep working while the glue dries. Okay, this is the drawer base of the longer drawer. I cut this off camera and I'm just about to glue up the sides and about to make my first big mistake. So if you spot what this mistake is before I reveal it, pause the video and put it in the comments below. Hopefully I'll notice the mistake before I pin this with the nailer. Well, I guess not. Why are you so stupid? What an absolute moron. God damn it. Yeah, you guessed it. I glued it on upside down and pinned it on upside down. Luckily, the fist of frustration has come to the rescue here. So I pull that off. All those nails get clipped off. Luckily, the glue wasn't dry. Flip it over, press it back down, and re-pin, re-clamp and re-pin. Problem solved. Buffoonery. I learned my lesson the second time round, obviously, so this goes on no problems. Again, clamped and pinned. And then the two long sides, you can't clamp them on upside down because there's no wheels on them, thankfully, but they go on next, and that is one drawer box done. The glue I'm using, by the way, is just regular Titebond wood glue, and I don't have to be too tidy with it. You're never going to see any of these portions of the drawer, really. They're purely functional, and the drawer box itself is a pretty rustic looking piece of kit, isn't it? But like I say, you're not going to see it once it's pushed under the sofa. I will take it outside now though, and give it a good sanding, just to take off all the splintery bits. Like I said, it's a little bit of a cheaper plywood this, so just sanding over those edges will mean that nobody gets splinters when they pull this out to get a puzzle or a game out. Well, that's a good start. This first one fits. It feels pretty solid too, but the risk is, because we've only got rollers on either end, it's quite long. It might bow a little bit here and start rubbing on the ground. It's only about, I don't know, 8mm clearance. Hopefully these sides will keep it from flexing, but if it does flex, I'll just add another strip like this down the middle, and that should resolve the issue. So it fits, but it doesn't really look that great at the moment, but I do have a plan for that. The frame of this sofa is actually oak, and to kind of match the oak theme, I'm going to put a strip of, I've got some MDF from a shelving job that I did, which happens to be oak veneered, and that should fit in nicely in here. So I'm going to measure the space and get pretty close to, I'd say 166, and it is, it's 12 and a half, I got 11 and a half. Will give us a bit of ground clearance as well. If I went 11, maybe 11. 166 by 11. Oh, why does it have to be up there? I can't believe I'm complaining about having to move 3 little pieces of wood just to take that down. There we go. This is a fairly simple process. We cut to length on the miter saw. Then it comes over to the table saw to cut to width, or height rather. And now I'm just cutting it up this. This is self-adhesive iron-on veneer. It's real oak veneer with a glue kind of pre-attached to it, so that once you put, well, you'll see in a second, lay it out on the surface it's to be glued on, and then use my wife's iron, which she was absolutely thrilled about.
to attach it to the edge. And once it's glued on properly, it's not going anywhere, and it looks really good. Unless you know what you're looking at in terms of grain direction, you wouldn't necessarily tell it's not solid. And then I've got this little 45-degree cutter thingamy to clean up the edge and finish off with a bit of sandpaper. Then flip it over, do the other side, and both ends get done as well. And of course, one of my projects wouldn't be complete without finishing in Osmo Poly X. A really good choice for this application though. The kids will be launching themselves on and off that sofa and kicking and scuffing this drawer front, no doubt. And this is quite a hard wearing finish. It's ideal for this. Now we're on to the second drawer box, and this is made in much the same way as the last one. Only difference here is I ran out of the 18mm hardwood ply, so unfortunately I had to dip into my birch ply reserves, the only thing that I had on hand, and some 9mm birch ply for the base of this. The whole manufacturing process of this second drawer is almost identical to the first. There is one difference though, when I'm making the drawer front, I'm actually making two, and one of these fronts will go on the side of the drawer. The reason being is when you walk into the room, you look straight onto the side of the sofa, and you could see right underneath and onto the exposed side of that drawer. So I'm just making effectively another drawer front, but it will sit on the side of the drawer and look a bit nicer when you look under the sofa.
Oh. Maybe you can see that. The heat is on, so it is warming up, which is just as well. As I'm still not in tip-top condition. However, we'll carry on. Right, the boxes for the drawers are built. I've tested the fit and they both fit nicely. The fronts are completed, but we're waiting for the finish to dry. I need to fit some handles. Now I found these old handles, and they're okay for maybe workshop furniture. But that's all I had in the way of handles, and I'm not quite happy putting them on this. I just think we can do a bit better. So I've dug around in my hardwood offcut pile, and I found this fairly thin strip of mahogany. I think with a little bit of effort we can turn this into a serviceable sort of pinch handle. In a pinch. Yeah, let's get her done.
So I'm cutting about I think it's a 10-degree angle on this thin strip of mahogany, just to give the fingers something to grip onto, and then we cut the handle to length. We're making two handles obviously, so then I spent quite a bit of time sanding it to round over and soften all the edges, and the result is a nice feeling handle to pinch onto. You can see the profile there. And of course a little bit more Osmo, and mahogany looks brilliant when you finish it. I think that it's a really big step change from unfinished to finished with mahogany. So I'm just lining that handle up to be roughly in the center of the board, and then I'm going to mark and drill 3 holes to fix that handle to the board, but also the screws for the handle are going to go all the way through the drawer box. So I'm just using this thin strip, this off cut, to ensure an even gap on the underside of that drawer front there. Once I've got it in place, I'm sliding it in just to check the fit underneath the sofa, and the gap there is even, and I'm happy with that.
Lovely.
Now I've got the front clamped in place, I'll drill through the front of the drawer box through those 3 holes that I drilled for the handle already, and then using that countersink bit, I'm countersinking those holes ready to attach the handle. First I apply some glue. This will also add a bit of rigidity to the drawer box itself and help prevent it from sagging and touching the floor. And then I'll clamp it up and screw the handle in place.
No, it comes with a warning. It's a different one, you can get a food grade. Yeah.
I'll leave that one to dry now, and it's on to the next one. And remember, I have the side piece to fit to this drawer. It's the one thing that makes this a bit different from the first one. And instead of using clamps, I'm going to use super glue. So the super glue will give it the initial hold, and it'll hold it in place until the wood glue has dried, and that will give it the extra bit of strength. Again, using that thin strip just to make sure I've got an even distance off the floor. And just a bit of accelerator here will help that super glue grip just a bit quicker. I'm using that little board there at the front end just to make sure that the front edge of that piece that I'm gluing is aligned with the front face of the drawer box so that it will join the drawer front later on. And now I'm repeating that glue and super glue method to attach the drawer front.
Oh, that's nice. Perfect.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that's nice. It looks better as well.
It's just catching on there.
Oh.
All that's done that. What's going on with the sofa?
Are we going to scrap this video? Or no?
Nope.
You're just going to cut this?
Right. Well, this one is working beautifully. It fits a treat, and it looks the business. It looks like it looks very purposeful, doesn't it? It looks like part of the sofa. So I'm really chuffed with that. Also looks nice, but as I roll it home, bonk, it doesn't fit. And you can see there's a gap at this end, but around about here is where it's interfering. From here onwards, it's too tight of a fit. And I think we're about 5 mil out. And I'm kicking myself for not measuring the gap at both ends. I've obviously only measured it at that end and made the drawer front the right height for that. But you know what they say about assumptions? Don't bloody make them, because this kind of thing happens. I could have avoided this nice and easy had I just measured both ends in the first place. Anyway. Okay, got the sofa apart. Now I just need to find some shims. Got a few oak shims. Hopefully these will work. So I've just used 2 of those packers up in that one corner, and it seems pretty level, so come on. Come baby, light my fire. Whoop whoop. Okay. If I remember rightly. And the heavy bastards and all. So I didn't have to cut anything up, and the drawers both fit. Whew. Thank you very much everyone who's made it to the end. I really appreciate it as always. If you liked it, then like, subscribe. I'm happy to answer any comment or question. Put it in the comments below. I answer everyone. Yeah, but for now, from me and from Jungle Skog, who's over the moon with this project, as you can tell, goodbye, take care, see you next time.